mullet, squid, pre-rigged ballyhoo, bonita, stingray, cigar minnows, Boston mackerel, Spanish mackerel, and a few other miscellaneous baits. It's worth the drive to buy premium locally sourced bait from Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, located directly off Highway 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach.
Life can throw a lot at us, but what helps us through it is knowing we have a place where we feel loved, grounded, and safe. A place where we belong. A place called home. But for thousands of youth living on the streets, there's no such thing as home. Out here, it's a predatory world that can destroy lives forever. At Covenant House, we care for homeless and at-risk youth, working in communities just like yours, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Here, these kids will get a shower, clean clothes, nourishing meals, and a safe place to sleep. Our caring staff teach life skills, offer stability, and encourage kids to believe in themselves so they stay off the streets for good. We're committed to giving lost, scared, and hurting children a place to go, a place to call home. To help or get help, go to safeplacetosleep.org.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here. I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe, and is the best way to protect that legacy. You know what? We should make an emergency communication plan. That way we're ready this year. At my dorm, we have emergency kits for earthquakes and wildfires, but I'm sure there's something more local I can send you with a link.
Okay.
Smart.
Protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
The battle for a sixth straight division crown starts right now, and the East already knows. Don't sleep on the Atlanta Braves.
Next pitch to Riley. Swung on, hammered to deep center. He's at the track, he's at the wall. Home run!
Tonight, it's a National League East showdown at Truist Park in Atlanta as Matt Olson and the Braves welcome in the Miami Marlins for a 4-game set.
Braves, Marlins tonight. Coverage starts at 6 on your home for the Braves on the Gulf Coast. ESPN, Northwest Florida.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DN Mariana, WVLQ Port St. John, powered by Pepsi, ESPN Northwest Florida. Welcome to the house. It's time for the Afternoon Underdogs.
It's happening.
Wow.
It's on right now.
Opinionated and unfiltered. The hot takes, the rants, and the sports talk you crave.
Give it to me.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
What's going on, Northwest Florida? You're now riding with the Afternoon Underdogs right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in Panama City, 102.1 in Mariana, and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. It's ESPN Northwest Florida. We're the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes, along with Brian Haddad, and we've got Coach Manley, the athletic director of Bay High, in the building with us. Also have James Fife on the ones and the twos. Coach Manley, how's it going?
Doing good. I just want to let you know I've always been under tall. Now I'm just an underdog. So I appreciate that. And this is out for Coach Hale. Nah, I'm on the show and you're not.
Coach Hale's not too far down the road, is he? He can just show on up. Lock the door. Oh, man, Coach Hale just...
Coach Hale going to show up thinking his alarm clock is wrong.
Well, when I came in, Randy said I picked the lock to get in. So
hey, there you go. Got a lot of stuff to recap over the weekend. A lot of great sports happening. We also have Wrestling Against Cancer. That's going to be this Saturday, and we're still selling tickets. All proceeds go to benefit Donna Duncan. Tickets are $12 at the door. Ages 6 to 15 get in for $8. 5 and under get in for free. Again, all proceeds go to benefit Donna Duncan. And we're also taking donations if you'd like to, bring up some cash up here, send a check. If you do write a check, make sure that you make it out to Jack Patterson so we can get that to him and he can take care of Donna Duncan with that. So hopefully we pack out the building. It's going to be over there at Bay Haven Charter Bridgewater Academy. Also, we've got the biggest news of the day just kind of popping off as soon as I printed the show sheet. So about 20 minutes before the show started, Aaron Rodgers has become a New York Jet officially now. Jets are going to be getting Aaron Rodgers and a 5th-round pick. The Packers get a 1st, a 2nd, and a 6th, all in 2023, and a 2024 2nd-round pick. But that becomes a 1st if Aaron Rodgers plays 65% or more of his snaps. Aaron Rodgers is a Jet. We can finally kind of put that storyline to the wayside now. What are we thinking about the Jets? How much better is this team now that this has become official?
Oh, they're significantly better. And it was a move everybody expected. It was just kind of a matter of when it was going to be done, if it was going to be a draft day deal or something like that. But the Jets are fairly solid everywhere but quarterback. So if you bring in an experienced hand who can still get it done like Aaron Rodgers, yeah, I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. The Jets are all in for now, and we've talked about this for several weeks. What most people's model is, they get the quarterback on the rookie deals, and then they spend their money elsewhere. The Jets have so much good young talent spread across their roster, they can do the reverse and put a lot of money into a quarterback, which is why they were one of the no-brainer teams for Rodgers. But, yeah, I mean, assuming that they can get everything worked out, which is why some of the coaching moves were made in the offseason. If you have somebody who can gel with Aaron Rodgers and put the plan together, I think you have to consider the Jets a favorite to at least make a good playoff run, if not make a run for the AFC this year.
I depend on two things. Can they protect him?
Right.
And number two, what do the guys in Vegas say?
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, we'll have to see how much the odds change, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing, too, is because they always have inside track no matter what you're doing. So, good move. We'll see how it works out for the Packers, too.
I think it's going to be similar to the Denver play with Manning. I think you've got about 2 years where he can be excellent, and then that's probably it.
Yeah.
And but, I mean, like I said, the Jets felt like they're a team that's right there, but for a quarterback, and I think they probably are. So it's a great move. Look, if you have a chance to bring in a surefire first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback, why wouldn't you? So.
Yeah, especially when you, like you said, all of the youth pieces or the youthful pieces that they have. The defense is good. The offensive line was decent last year, but they just didn't have a quarterback that they could depend on to get them where they needed to. And that changes, at least for this year. And I agree with you. I think the window is 2 years. How much more does Rodgers have in the tank? That it's yet to be seen. Maybe this change of scenery kind of gives him a shot in the arm for now. He's got to, or you would think he needs to go to the organized team activities. He needs to be a bigger part of the Jets in a sense of, even if it's just being around the guys at that point, because you got to build that cohesion and that chemistry with the new guys. And a great person to ask here, Coach Manley, how long does it take till you start seeing the chemistry start to build with the wide receivers and quarterbacks?
It just depends on how he's perceived as. He has to have a persona that, okay, I'm all in, so this is what we're gonna do. So once you get that little trust and you start throwing routes and everything, and you know what they're thinking and how they're working things out. So I think for him, this is a fresh start. So I think he'll go in there. I think he'll go in there full guns and show you what he can do. And so
I think that's right. Now, he's not a guy who's going to be intimidated by the New York media machine. He's been in it for his whole life, and that's not going to bother him.
You don't think that it changes a little bit, though, when you go to a place, even though it's kind of been rocky in the last year and a half or so, but you're going from Green Bay, which I'll make the assumption anyways, that's a lot less of a treacherous media than what the New York media is.
It's significantly less treacherous media, but the pressure in Green Bay might be as high as it is because they take their football seriously up there. And Aaron Rodgers is also not a guy who shied away from the media at any point either.
Yeah,
he likes getting it. He's savvy enough and he's done it long enough that I don't think that cauldron of New York is going to faze him at all. What will be worse for him is if the team comes out and he struggles. And then then it will be very much, he was always the guy who was playing MVP caliber football and they weren't putting pieces in around him? What if he comes in and he's the problem? He hasn't really dealt with that. So that may be interesting, but no, I don't think the media circus will phase him. What I was looking more at is what they gave up to get him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the first round picks are essentially a wash.
Yep.
The 5th and 6th is, if anything, a benefit. The real kicker. I mean, essentially, you're getting Aaron Rodgers for a second-round pick. The kicker is the conditional pick next year.
Yeah.
If that does become a 1, which we anticipate it will, I mean, that's a fairly steep price to pay. That's why I say they're all in now.
What if the Jets get to, week 15, week 14, 15, find themselves on the outside of the playoff race? Then do you see the Jets and Coach Saleh there kind of managing that snap count a little more closely?
All right, so this is where Glenn will know how to play this beautifully, because Saleh's not going to care.
Yeah.
Don't think for a second that GM's not having a running percentage calendar going at all times.
Yeah.
And so, like, you're rolling AD, you're going to know things the coach doesn't know because that's your job.
Right.
That GM will know exactly what percentage they're on at all times.
Yeah. And then the other thing, too, is it's not always just the quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays, because we have so much media, we're going to analyze the play call. We're going to analyze how you manage the clock. Right. Should you call a timeout or this? That sort of thing. So we'll see what all that does. How much he plays in preseason? Probably not a whole lot.
Yeah. I wouldn't expect him to be on the field for snaps. I just think being around the program, being around the organization at that point in time.
You can't help but going in and going, hey, okay, now I got a real guy in here, so I gotta live up to his expectation too. So that's going to help a little bit.
Yeah, and you got to expect that most of those players, especially the skill position guys, grew up idolizing Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So for them, they're going to be, apt to listen to what this guy has to say. Whereas if you're on more of a peer-to-peer, it could be a little bit difficult. I'm reading more about the story here, though. This is interesting, Dave. Kind of wonder what you guys think on this. So Rodgers wears number 12. Well, that was Joe Namath's number, and it's retired. Apparently, Namath has given him his blessing to wear it, but they are thinking that Rodgers is expected to wear number 8, the number he wore in college.
Taking it back to the Cal days.
Too. Yeah.
Man, it is going to be different seeing him not in that 12 jersey. And if you're Joe Namath, I mean, Coach Manley, what do you think? Should Joe Namath even consider giving away the number 12 to Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I think if he didn't want to, he would have spoken up.
Yeah.
I think Joe's been around long enough to know, and everybody knows what his number was and who he was. And so, maybe he's going to do that to help spark the Jets a little bit. You just never know.
Maybe he did like what all the players do. He just sold it for a 5th of whiskey.
No, for the Medicare plan, that's what he gave.
Well, Joe, it might very well be a 5th of whiskey.
All right, let's get over to the phone line. We've got Luke on the line, I believe, with us. Ike, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ike. All right. Well, call back, 850-215-6290. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in Panama City, 102.1 FM in Marianna, and 101.9 FM in Port St. Joe. We're also streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and be sure to like and share the Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and download the app and register, all at 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to have Tho and Tyler Bishop with me and Max Delight, and we're going to actually do a full first round mock draft from 5 to 5:40 with all of us commandeering different teams. So that should be a little interesting. We're going to try to include trades with that as well. And I can promise you one thing, it will not be accurate compared to the NFL mock draft.
I get a little scared when you say draft. I mean, so a long time ago, I was like, oh, no. But, that'll be fun, If you like those, as long as it's not your money, it's great.
Exactly. As long as it's not my money, that'll be fantastic. Again, we've got the athletic director in the building with us today, Coach Manley. So, Coach, what's this year been like for you getting back into being involved with Bay High in general, but also being the athletic director there?
Well, first of all, I kind of missed playing golf every day at Bay Point with Coach Moon. But anyway, if you do it right, you have to be there all day. So, but anyway, I was at Bay High for 38 years. I really love that school. I love the people around it. So it was kind of an honor to be there in one of the oldest high schools in the state of Florida. I was a paper guy in a digital world when I first got there. Everything goes, but we were one of the few schools that actually sold tickets besides the Go Fan thing. So a lot of people were happy. I noticed that the county's changed that. You need to sell both, because we had a lot of people that call me and go, "Can we just buy real tickets when we get there?" Because they don't want to put stuff out on there. But I really enjoyed it. It had some challenges. I'll say that. There was a lot of nights I stayed up going, "Oh gosh, what's that?" So that's the thing about being retired. I didn't have to worry about that, But now, when you lay down and go to sleep, I used to go right to sleep, and now I can't turn what little mind I have, I can't turn it off. And but you know what? Just being there, being around the kids, being around the faculty and the staff and everything, it's been really good. They've been really nice to me, and so I just, I hate to go, but it's time to go. I'm going to be way on up there, 3/4 of a century pretty soon. So it's time to get out there, and I don't know how much longer I can hit it off the tee box. But anyway, this will be fun.
How's the golf scores been looking lately?
Well, I tell you, I played in a tournament Friday, and it was a 2-day tournament. We had teams, I think it was the Chamber of Commerce tournament. Mm-hmm. Some people played on Thursday. I got to play on Friday. We had a blast. It was in great shape. So, as always, it was a great tournament. We shot a pretty decent score, so I don't know how that's going to turn out. So I'm not giving out my score. Somebody may write it down.
There you go.
Change my handicap. But it's been really good. I got one more thing. Tomorrow at 4:00 in the STEM building. That's the brand new building over there off of 13th Street. Will Smiley, our quarterback, wide receiver, punt returner, is going to sign with U.S. Naval Academy.
Awesome.
That is huge.
So if you get a chance, stop by and everything. So we've had other people sign with other things, but you have to go through all these, has to do special exams, physical exams, testing, all that. So it just took a little longer, but we're happy to say he's going to be going to the Naval Academy. So we're so proud of him for that.
That is awesome. What a heck of an athlete, heck of a young man as well. And what about you guys had you're getting some jewelry over there? You got your Scholar Athlete of the Week right here on WMBB's news website, and that is Kaylin Gant.
She is also the state champion in the 169 class in traditional and Olympic. Did not lose a match all year.
Crazy.
And closest to her was about 40 pounds. And she told me this year, "You want to hook up, Coach? I'm going to be a state champion." I didn't really know her that well.
Right.
But Coach Bailey said, "Oh yeah, you just got to." So I went in there one day watching practice. And I was like, "Holy smokes!" She could be on the boys' weightlifting team here. And we had some kids from North Bay Haven and a couple from Marl that did really well, state champion there. And so girls weightlifting, we ended up with 40 girls on our team. So we started with 8 or 9, and Coach Bailey's now got 40. So.
What does a typical roster look like?
Well, what you do is you have your number one in your weight class, and then depending on how many teams are there, you can put in as many as 2 or 3 or 4, and so they can place. And so you're working on points, but it sure helps when you have one weight class nailed down, and the number 2 usually is the girl that's right behind her. So we had a state champion last year who hurt her shoulder, and she was one class higher, and she would have repeated too, but she hurt her shoulder and couldn't participate. So we're proud of they've got them going. And the boys, they had 2 or 3 go to state. Our wrestling team had a guy wrestle for the state champion. We won the district. Football, of course.
Yeah.
And then basketball, we did a good job there. So, and then boys soccer was really good. So, and I guess, everything's going well. I have to give a shout out to our band, our choir, and our drama team. They put on monsters coming out of the dark or something. I don't know what it is. It was fantastic. I mean, you get there and there's all these it's dark and everything. So
Yeah.
it was classic. So good things going. So I kind of hate to leave with all this coming up.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have a new STEM building. We're gonna have another fine arts building, and it doesn't look like the same campus. They're going to do the whole front, but they're going to keep the motif of the old 1924 Bay High facade in the front.
Yeah.
So it looks really good. So I just, but golf calls, I can't help
Golf
it.
calls.
But you know what? When you're playing every day and all of a sudden you're playing once or twice a month, it's a little different. But
it slows down, yeah.
I just, and our staff is great, so just going for, I've been around campus, a lot of campuses, and so, education in Bay County is going really well. So, if you're an athlete and you stay with your school, I mean, in life you just don't get to jump around every 5 seconds, and you never know how things turn out. There's a purpose.
Yeah.
So stay with people who know who you are and know what you do. And I don't know, it's just hard for me, because when I played, you didn't go anywhere. So you stayed at that school.
Unless there was a draft.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't go to class, there's a draft. So
yes,
anyway.
sir. Man, now obviously I know there's a special place in your heart for baseball, basketball, and football.
Right.
But as far as an athletic director goes, and just watching the sports when you're going out there and checking out, which of the sports was your favorite to kind of just go keep an eye on and be in that atmosphere of that sport?
I went to every one of them. I just, sometimes I stand back out of the way. I don't try to be present. I just want the students to know I'm there backing them up. And so, I played football in college, but I really liked coaching basketball because I was a basketball official.
Yeah.
And then, but then baseball and softball, I coached fast pitch softball. I played fast pitch in the Air Force. So, really in track though is you got to want to run on purpose. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Most of the time I had to run for punishment. But here, and we've got some good athletes out there, and Coach Hill does a great job. So I just kind of went around and did everything. We have to you have to have an administrator at every game. So I just kind of made the circuit, and so I would go to practice. I know first time I was the AD, I went to swimming practice. They get up there at 5 o'clock on the pool.
Oof.
Then they swim and then they come to school. So I was up there about 5:30 and I got on deck and they all stopped. They said, what are you doing here? I said, well, I just want to see what y'all are doing. Oh, we thought we did something wrong. And I was going, they said, we've never seen an athletic director at swimming practice before. So, you just got to let them know you're interested in what they do.
Yeah.
And, we had our cheerleaders have won the state, and they won the national thing 2 years ago. So, really, it's going good. So,
I love it, Coach.
Yeah. So it's just, I really like to see them compete. They're going to do some remodeling in our gym, and so Lee Walters and them are going to come fix up some things. And I can't say enough about our maintenance. We always think about our school first. Every school does, but they got every school, elementary, middle school, and they got some of the fields and all that. So, and got to give a shout out to the county that does all the fields.
Yeah,
man, those are immaculate. You can't, I've had coaches ask us we're playing on turf, and I go, no.
That's the real thing. And you're right, man. I drove by there not too long ago. I want to say about a week and a half ago, driving by Bay on north up Harrison Avenue. I was like, whoa, man.
That is Bay District School Stadium. Everybody thinks it's our stadium. It was back in 1950. When they built 1963, I think they built Rutherford, 75 Mosley, 2,000 Bozeman, and 2,000 Arnold. So, they have their field. Bozeman, Arnold, what a great place for a 1A school to have a field like that.
Yeah.
Those, and so and in Gavlac, that's a great field. All of those are great fields, and so it's just what a place to have facility. What a place. We always say paradise, another day in paradise, but it's paradise is what you make it. Absolutely. So,
we can't even continue talking after that. That's a way to just drop the mic for this segment.
I'm just excited about all athletics in high school, because you need to get out there and support them and see them, watch them play. You'd be amazed at some of the things. When I went to girls weightlifting practice, they're down to business. They don't mess around. They don't stand around and do any flexing or anything. They're pumping that iron and they're going. Now at the end, I might flex. When we had the weightlifting district, at the end, they would all get on that podium and do the, it was great.
It's
fun.
You've already proven it at that point. You get to flex then, huh?
That's right. When they put that ribbon and the gold medal around your neck, it's great.
All right, we've got Don Owens now on the line with us, riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Go ahead, Don.
Yes, I like to tell Coach Manley how good of a job he's did over there at Bay High School, and how good of a people just looked up to him when he's out there help coaching the football team and being the athletic director over there.
Well, thanks, Donnie. I appreciate that. We go way back, buddy. And you got one thing wrong though. They don't look up to me, look down at me, but they do know I'm in charge. How's that?
Yes, sir. You do a good job. Keep up good work over there.
Thank you, Donnie. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for that call, Don. All right, we're going to ride to a break. When we get back, we're going to go around the track with RJ Starcevic. Y'all keep it locked in to ESPN Northwest Florida.
I don't need a whole lot of money.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida and staff meteorologist Tim Root for up-to-the-minute weather reports all day long.
Moving northwestward into the Gulf of Mexico by the weekend.
In-depth storm coverage.
Gusty winds up to 60 miles per hour.
And breaking weather as it happens.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Weather forecast for this afternoon, a mix of sun and clouds in the mid to upper 70s, a northeast wind about 10 to 15. Scattered clouds, light winds overnight around 60, and those winds will continue to be on the light side Tuesday. There might be a few showers in the afternoon, partly sunny, near 80 degrees. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. For ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Is your toddler not saying as many words as they should? If they're talking but are difficult to understand, call Southern Speech Pediatrics. They'll help your child with stuttering, speech sound disorders, phonological disorders, receptive and expressive language delays, pragmatic and social skills for children with autism. Southern Speech Pediatrics, providing quality, individualized speech therapy services through home, school, and daycare visits. Call Southern Speech Pediatrics, 850-270-7238.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Call in with your questions, hot takes, and rants at 850-215-6290.
I'm sure that most of you have used a dial telephone before.
The Sports Talk Monster.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. It's the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes, along with Brian Haddad, Coach Manley, and James Fife. And now we're going to go around the track with RJ Starcevic, host and creator of the NASCAR Report on Instagram. RJ, how's it going, buddy?
It's going good. How about yourself?
And doing fantastic. As Coach Manley just said a few minutes ago, it's another day here in paradise, but paradise is what you make it. Recap the race in Talladega for us, RJ.
Man, yeah, the race was a pretty solid one, pretty calm. As far as, a race at Talladega we would expect, but I feel like that's how it's been the last few times we went to Talladega with the next-gen car. We did see some three-wide racing at times, and it really only got riled up right up until the end where we had the crash sparked with Noah Gragson and Kyle Larson, that big hit with Kyle Larson that forced the overtime restart. And then in overtime, we, unfortunately didn't make it through that final lap as Bubba Wallace blocking for his life, to win that race. And unfortunately, with these cars, really sensitive as far as pushing and moving around the racetrack. And so he spun out off the nose of Blaney, and Kyle Busch scooted right down by on the inside and came home with the victory.
Well, what did you think of Kyle Busch's decision to not come down pit road when his fuel level was getting low in overtime?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a big gamble, and obviously turned out to be the right gamble, right? I mean, The way he described it in his post-race interview, I think, made a lot of sense, saying, hey, we already got to win this year. Let's try and game and get another one, and especially with all the chaos that is bound to ensue at Talladega, you might not even make it through that second lap, and they did. So he stayed up front, and felt like they had a better shot at a good finish by staying out instead of pitting. And, since it's really hard to get track position once you get back in the field, it seemed like during the race. So I liked it. Obviously, it paid off, and he was able to get the win.
Absolutely. Hey, who had the best day that did not result in the finish that they wanted or were close to obtaining at the end of the race?
Man, I would have to say, obviously either Bubba Wallace or Ryan Blaney. I think, I'd have to lean more towards Ryan Blaney with all the laps that he was able to run up front and lead during the end of that race, and kind of felt like he was in position to get that victory, right? And, leading on the final restart as well. I think he ran himself a great race and was making the right moves on that final lap to try and get the win. It was just, Bubba Wallace was, he was blocking for his life. And, it was one of those racing incidents where neither one's really at fault. I mean, they were both just fighting for the win. And it unfortunately ends up, in a torn-up race car and, not a win for Ryan Blaney. I'd say Ryan Blaney, and then kind of like a dark horse, good run, I'd say, that they didn't get the finish they wanted would be Noah Gragson, obviously starting on the front row on that last restart. And they've kind of had not the year they've wanted for Legacy Motor Club, but to come so close to the victory and then get it taken away, obviously not nearly the finish they wanted. They were hoping they could get the victory.
Here you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line right now with RJ Starcevic. He is a contributor for TobyChristie.com. 57 lead changes yesterday, the most at Talladega since 2011. Is it more impressive, in your opinion, RJ, to win a race with a lot of changes at the front or win all three stages, kind of go coast to coast?
I think it's definitely, it's impressive in both ways. I know people like to dominate at a plate track if they feel like they can dominate on a super speedway and be the class of the field. That is really hard to do. I think especially in today's day and age with all the lead changes that we see, all the strategy with stages and things like that, when we'd see, I feel like it more so happened years ago with drivers like Logano, Keselowski, even Dale Earnhardt Jr. that were able to really be the class of the field and win every stage and lead so many laps. We just don't see that nowadays, I feel like, on the super speedways. And it's more about kind of just saving yourself up, towards the end of the race, or you might, be leading laps at the beginning and get caught up in a crash. And so I definitely think I think it makes a driver feel much better when they run up front all day and win. It makes you feel like more complete instead of kind of that just surprise, like, we ran to the back all day. Everybody wrecked. I made it through and I won the race. So
like a Joey Logano a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, like Joey Logano a couple weeks ago for sure. So, that I think definitely being able to be up front and lead all those laps is, makes it really, really impressive for a driver. Makes them feel good about the race.
In the Xfinity Series, Jeb Burton, son of Ward Burton, takes the checkered flag home, and it was his second Xfinity race win at Talladega. Give us a recap of the Xfinity Series race at Talladega.
Yeah, the recap is torn up sheet metal. There was a crash about every 5 laps, it seemed, and the crashes that happened were absolutely insane. I mean, we had 2 flips. One of them was where Hemrick just flipped and landed on his hood, skirted down the track, and then the other one was Blaine Perkins, who went for an absolute barrel roll on the back straightaway. And he was, admitted to the hospital but checked in release, so he's all good, and that's great to hear, because that was a vicious crash. And so there were a lot of vicious crashes that happened. I think all junior motorsports cars were involved in a crash. And it took out a lot of our top contenders. And that, left Jeb Burton and some other, underdogs, 4 smaller teams up at the front to challenge for the win. And Jeb Burton got the win, his second win at Talladega. He won for Colleague Racing a few years back, but now driving for a smaller organization, Jordan Anderson Racing. Huge win for them in that organization, and now they're locked into the Xfinity Series playoffs. But it was really about survival. I mean, I think we even had a crash too on the last lap of that race. It was insane, but definitely one of the most crash-filled Xfinity Series Talladega races I've ever seen.
Yeah, and 2 double overtime races this weekend in the Cup Series and in the Xfinity Series. Are the script writers that good, or has it just seemed to be eerily similar, the races in the Xfinity and the Cup Series almost mirroring each other on Saturdays and Sundays?
It is, and I just think we're just seeing more overtime finishes. I think the stat yesterday for the Cup Series is already over half of the races this year have been decided in an overtime finish. Which is, it's wild. I mean, I think once we get towards that middle part of the year, it's always when things start to calm down a little bit, get a little bit more normal. But we've definitely seen a lot of overtime finishes this year in both series, especially the Truck Series as well. I think there's been an overtime finish like every race there. But yeah, it's interesting. It's made for definitely intriguing finishes, but every race has been different in its own right for what caution came out to, begin that overtime sequence. So it's definitely been an interesting year. We've seen some torn up race cars, and we've seen some, down to the wire finishes. So, I mean, next week we go to Dover, and maybe it might be a little bit more calm.
Yeah, so last year it was new drivers winning every week, or different drivers rather winning every week. This year an overtime finish every week. Christopher Bell leading Ross Chastain by 11 points in the standing as we get ready for Dover. Let's go back into that. Time to pick your teams and lead us off with the Xfinity Series, RJ.
All right, yeah, the Xfinity Series at Dover, usually pretty solid race as well. I'd say, a track like Dover is going to lead more towards strategy, more towards tire conservation. And so a track like this, I'm probably going to have to roll with old reliable here, Chandler Smith. I think Chandler Smith's been very strong on tracks like those this year, and I feel like he'll be able to rebound from the incident he had at Talladega. We'll roll with Justin Allgaier here at Dover. I think he'll have a strong run and have a chance at the win. His JRM teammate Josh Berry, I'll throw in there third as well. I think we'll have an opportunity to have a very strong run, and then I'll kind of look through the entry list here, and I think we'll go with a little bit of a dark horse. I want to see what Parker Kligerman has for us this week in that 48 for Big Machine Racing. I think he's due for a nice, gritty top 5, I think, in that machine. And I think he'll be able to pull it off.
Awesome, great stuff there. And the Cup Series, what you got?
Cup Series, I think I'm gonna roll with Kyle Busch, keeping the momentum at Dover. I think he'll be able to put on a pretty solid performance. I mean, obviously that car has been fast every week. I think they have the ability to put on a strong run. I'm gonna go with Martin Truex Jr., who's had some momentum as of late, has some good finishes even at Talladega. I think he'll be able to have a great run at Dover, a track he's had some success at in the past. We're going to roll with the guy that, like you said, the points leader right now, Christopher Bell, in that 20. I think he's due for another good run, and then I'll round out my order here with the Hendrick Motorsports' own Kyle Larson.
Kyle Larson is always a very strong pick. There's no doubt about that. Hey, RJ, my man, take care, and we look forward to catching up with you next Monday.
Yeah, next Monday after Dover. Can't wait to catch up with you guys. Have a great one.
All right, you do the same. That's RJ Starcevic. You can follow him on Twitter. You can go over to Instagram and follow his NASCAR report there. He's the host and the creator. He's also a contributor for TobyChristie.com. That was RJ Starcevic. You had something in the last segment that you wanted to kind of bring back, Brian, talking about Aaron Rodgers. He's now been traded to the New York Jets. Green Bay giving up a good little haul for him, but what intrigues you for the Packers? What are the Packers going to do now with how long this whole situation is taking to play out?
Well, that's the question. Obviously, Jordan Love is going to be the starter. We've known that, ever since really they drafted him, that was going to be the plan. But we also know that starting quarterbacks in the NFL usually don't play all 17 games. Mm-hmm. And so right now, I think last year's roster was Rodgers, Love, and Danny Etling, I think, was the third quarterback. I'm not aware of any moves they've made yet in the offseason. So obviously most of the big free agent names are gone. I'd willingly give them a name and a phone number of Ryan Tannehill if they'd like to call him.
We can work something like that.
That has more to do with us wanting to ship him out of Nashville. But no, it is intriguing on what they're going to do. And also you have to factor, they have a lot of dead money hit with Rodgers still. Mm-hmm. And so, they're in a weird position now. They're going to have the 13th pick at this point. But by picking up the second-round pick and by picking up that conditional pick next year, they may have some capital to move up and maybe try and get in, not necessarily the first or second quarterback sweepstakes, but maybe let's assume Anthony Richardson's the third quarterback off the board, or Levis, or maybe even a Hendon Hooker. Are they going to try and find a free agent who's out there, a la someone with a skill set of like a Teddy Bridgewater or somebody like that, or are they going to go into the draft? It's going to be interesting to see, because now you've got a quarterback who, when you brought him in, it upset your starting quarterback's confidence and faith. Here's a young guy who's yet to take the meaningful snap yet. If they go draft a quarterback this year, does that mess with his head? I just find it fascinating to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, but don't you have to bring in someone, even if you
absolutely have to have another quarterback.
You got to have another quarterback, and I don't think that Jordan Love has done enough or anything at all for the general manager, the head coach, or anyone to be worried about how he's feeling. But then again, and this is a better question for coach here, is because it's your quarterback, do you have his do you care about his feelings, or do you just push him to the side on a backup quarterback? That's not even his place, is it?
It's a different situation from college and high school. Now it's a business,
right?
So you have to decide what's going to be beneficial to you. I would start with the guy you brought in 2 years ago with your plan, but then if it doesn't work out, then you got somebody there that needs to be very attentive to what's going on. So that's just my opinion. But,
well, and also, Coach, back 30 years ago, you'd just say, why do you care who we drafted? Suck it up and play. But we know we can't do that anymore.
And they used to play on both sides of the ball, too. So, and Otto Graham had number 77. So,
Exactly. I find it fascinating, because I'm sitting here trying to rack my brain on what free agents might still be out there, and I'm really not aware of any. Now, could they maybe go the weird route of, do they go in and give A.J. McCarron another chance to be a backup? I mean,
has he done enough yet, do you think, at the XFL level? I know it's the XFL, but
look, the first XFL, we saw guys come out of that and get into 100%. The league, and maybe there is an avenue for a guy like that to get a shot. I don't know. We still don't know what the Niners are going to do, even though I think they've got. I would keep both of those guys and just say, I don't care what your feelings are. We got both of y'all on rookie deals.
Yeah.
We don't care.
That's a good point. But also, if you feel like Brock Purdy's going to be able to stay healthy, is he going to be ready to start the season, though? Right. And if he is, then you could explore the opportunity of offloading Trey Lance, even though, he's not a lot on the books, but a great landing spot for him could be the Green Bay Packers. You could have Jordan Love and Trey Lance.
You need an experienced hand.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Jordan Love has not taken a meaningful snap in the NFL, really.
Yes.
Right.
So he is a total wild card. You have no idea. Beyond the injury bug, you just don't know if he can hack it.
Right.
Yeah.
So you need an experienced hand, a la a Geno Smith type player until last year. He became a starter, a Teddy Bridgewater, a Jacoby Brissett, somebody like that, if they're out there.
I think A.J. McCarron, though, man. I'm looking at the numbers, and again, this is XFL, and so it's not, the NFL, no doubt, but Ben DiNucci's leading the league with 10 games played, 2,600 yards, almost 2,700 yards, with 20 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. A.J. McCarron right behind him, 9 games played, 2,150 passing yards, 24 touchdowns to just 6 interceptions. I find that to be impressive, even though I know that it's the XFL, but he could provide a good backup or a good opportunity for the Green Bay Packers, provided that Jordan Love does not pan out. Fireman Harry, you are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Go ahead, my friend.
Fireman Harry here, and you are my friend, David, but Coach Manley and Coach Brian are my idols. I hope you don't mind that. But Coach Manley revealed to me his service time, and I asked someone the other day on this station in the background if maybe Coach Manley had been drafted, but not by the pros.
That's correct.
And you were.
I was, yes.
lot of people don't know how great the service sports are. I don't want to bore them with that. I mean, they know it at Tyndall and at the Navy station, which the Coast Guard lets them use. Anyway, that's a joke. We use their property over there near your studio, I think. But I wanted to talk about Rodgers and the fact that he and Brady, they're both from Northern California. And they've been, it's like one's the most accomplished, the greatest of all time, and Rodgers thinks he's the greatest. Well, he's only got one Super Bowl to prove it. And he's more like Dan Marino. He's pretty when he throws the ball. Brady just wins, baby, to quote Al Davis. But I heard this. Rumors are like they're actually gossip. And, it's not, the good book speaks against gossiping, but, we have radio time to fill. So they say that not only did Brady get divorced, rumors are that he lost $43 million in the FTX Bitcoin pyramid scandal.
Yeah.
And that he is out there. That's why he went away. He didn't sign, that big contract he's supposed to have with Fox, or is he never signed it, or he let it pass. And now Fox knows from all this moving around with responsibilities of broadcasting, Fox, ESPN, whatever, Bezos, Apple, all that. They know that people like me, don't go gaga over big-time, high-money announcers. So they're moving away from them. I mean, Jen Nance is fading away. Al Michaels, they don't have to pay them. So Brady might come in. He might ride to the rescue. Now, I know where I want him to ride to the rescue, but he's going to run a ride to the rescue somewhere else. I care about the Titans, which Brian does, too. But, the Titans look like they went from being the number one seed to being, I don't know, fill in the blank, the Lions, which the Lions are better now.
Yeah, the Lions are better now.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I mean, everybody, I'll tell you something, a real serious item. I did not know, even as I play in high school football, that people were gambling on us because I was too busy handing out parlay cards to the underclassmen. And there weren't cards either. Coach Manley knows there were sheets.
That's right.
And he probably knows some of the people that produced them. Here's the thing. I know a guy who printed them, and some people who didn't want him to do it, who may have had badges, came to him. They said, what's all this colored paper for? He said, church bulletins.
Yeah, there you go.
Church bulletins, and then he cut them into he printed parlay cards. I mean, he's got to make money.
I'll guarantee a bunch of those guys lived on settled court over there.
Yeah. Hey, look. My great uncle was the last white man to leave Steinbach, and he left it in a hearse.
Oh, gosh.
You know where that is.
Yeah, I do, but if people are not from Nashville, they have no clue. So
they have no clue what we're talking about, so we're talking in code. But I told them in the text, Nashville is actually, if they do it, they're proud of you because you're just as good as Boner or Thulton. You're that good a leader.
Gosh.
I'm clueless.
Both of those, both of those went to East High. That's exactly why you did that.
I know that. Here's the thing. I never voted for either one of the damn guys. I said one of the Democrats. I didn't like them because I was from the West Side.
Fireman Harry.
No politics on the air. I'm sorry.
Hey, man. Thanks for saving me, Coach Bailey.
I want to talk about baseball real quick.
All right, quickly.
Yeah, okay. They're playing Mariana again this week. Mariana has got 3 games this week. They're getting ready for the district. They're getting ready for the state. I find it very intriguing and interesting. Of course, then y'all got y'all's ball down there, but a couple of them that are in the listening area play Mariana. But Mariana's looking good.
Yep.
Now, Cottondale's got a chance, but Mariana's looking good. All right, y'all take care. Be good. Be careful if you can't be good. That's what we used to say in Nashville.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Bye.
And carry your bodyguard.
There you go. That's Fireman Harry. We're going to run to a break. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be right back after this.
Your attention, please. ESPN Northwest Florida reminds you it's the law. It's the law. When there's a double red flag, stay out of the water, stick your toes in the sand, grab a cold drink, and listen to live sports.
Swung on, miss, strike 3.
On 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Double play!
Golf Plus is your premier golf shop on the Gulf Coast. Not a big box or a chain store, but a local store with golf experts to serve you. An amazing array of demo and fitting products, plus a professional repair shop that can handle anything from a basic re-grip to a full set of re-shafts and everything in between. Golf Plus has locations in Dothan and Panama City Beach to serve you. Come see them today for all your golf needs. Located next to Firefly at the shops at Edgewater. Call 850-249-2726.
If it's Western wear for the whole family you're looking for, there's only one place to shop. That Boot Store. The selections are huge and many of your favorite name brands at affordable prices are available. Want the finest in work clothes? Famous Carhartt work clothes are available too. Open Tuesday through Thursday, 9 till 5, and Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. till 5:30. Next to Kia 15th Street, Panama City. Remember what Joe always said, keep Jesus in your life every day.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Karen bought 83 liters of Dr. Thunder, a suitcase full of Cheez-Its, and a drum of Crisco. Now she's crying about using the self-check at Walmart.
Maybe we should speak to a manager or something.
Just saying. ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are back to riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes, along with Brian Haddad, Coach Glenn Manley, and James Fife. Coach Brian Haddad as well. Got to give respect.
Yeah, exactly.
Respect.
Coach.
I'm just so used to having you on Mondays now that we've just got, like if he was here every Monday, we'd slowly but surely drop.
Right.
No.
I've been called worse. Don't worry about it.
Professor Plum says, will the Packers stun the NFL world and lure another number 12 out, Tom Brady, out of retirement?
No.
I
don't see that man going to Green Bay.
No. Man, but how wild would that be, though? He goes to Green Bay, and then Aaron Rodgers at that point would be in his old division, 3 years ago, old division, playing against the Patriots on a weekly basis. So that could be wild, but I don't think Tom Brady's going to come back. I don't think he's going to come back at all, but I've still tried to hold out hope that maybe, you see week 8, week 9, week 10 roll around, a big-time quarterback goes down, and then here's Tom Brady to save the day. But I don't think it'll work out like that.
Hey, Tom, I know you're listening. No state income tax in Tennessee either. Just saying. Got to get that FTX money back. Right. Yeah. We'll start with that.
That's a good one, man.
The irony is I thought the Titans had a real shot at making a play for Rodgers a year ago.
Yeah.
I really thought that would have made sense.
I even thought coming into last week, I thought that there was still hope to be held out for the Titans, that maybe a deal would fizzle and they wouldn't be able to come to terms with the Jets, or the Packers and Jets wouldn't be able to come to terms, and then the Titans could kind of sneak in there because they've got to get Ryan Tannehill off the books somehow. But what else? I mean, you talk about the Packers and what they don't have. Well, the Titans can't rely on Malik Willis. They've already proven that they're not going to give him a long enough leash. Now, the good news is we're hearing from Rand Carthon that there hasn't been a discussion between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Titans for Derrick Henry, even though there was a source going on and on and on about that being a possibility. And still, I mean, there was the whole A.J. Brown thing leading up to the draft last year, and what happens on the first day of the draft? Boom, A.J. Brown is a Philadelphia Eagle. So let's hope that doesn't happen with Derrick Henry. But if he's going to go to the Eagles, if the Titans are going to deal him off to the Eagles, then that could bode well for Derrick Henry.
Because as much as I don't want to see this happen, I actually have a feeling it's going to, because there's starting to be scuttle. And look, the draft is full of more like the CIA should learn how to do misinformation from GMs around the draft.
Right.
But there's been some scuttle that the Titans are looking to jump to 3 and possibly take Richardson or somebody like that. Now, that would be only the Raiders do that crazy of a move better than the Titans do. But it would make sense if in the way the Titans' mindset has worked, because they do know what they have in Ryan Tannehill. That's the problem I have. I know what we have in him, but he is a safe bet, and maybe you can go take a shot on a upside guy like a Richardson, because you've probably got a year or two left with with Tannehill.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling I could see the Titans doing something a little more like that, because while jumping up in the draft is somewhat of a gamble, it's about the most conservative gamble a team could make, and nothing says the Titans more than that. So I just have a funny feeling we're going to not see Derrick Henry move on, but they're going to try and do something to jump and to get one of those guys in the draft. But if they're not giving up an experienced player, they're doing it by picks. And I'm not sure I love that.
Oh, how about Colorado? I know that's jumping way off a subject.
Talking about available players.
So they had their spring game, which they broke the record of for attendance at their spring game. Which some coaches, you got Brent Venables out there.
Did you see who kicked off the spring practice?
Yeah, their oldest super fan,
and she run up there and kicked off to start. I thought that was fantastic.
I will say, we were about 45 minutes away from Boulder.
Yeah.
And if our schedule of what we were doing was slightly different, there was a group of coaches who were considering making the run out and going to see it. Of course, it was snowing, and I'm from Florida, so I didn't want to
believe it. I was going.
Yeah.
But, I went to Yellowstone a couple of years ago in June and was going to go out and play golf, and my wife said, you might want to call off your golf match today. I said, why? She said, to open the curtains, and there's like 7 inches of snow. I'm like, what?
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, could you? I don't know what's worse there, because with golf, you can make that decision like, all right, we're going to do something else. But for your spring game,
right,
it is what it is, boys. We're playing football.
That's right. But
I guess they're not tackling in their spring game, are they?
I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't watch very much of it at all.
Well, they didn't tackle a lot last year, so
what's the difference? What's the difference? But yeah, 47,000 people in attendance. The previous record there in Boulder was 17,800.
Oh my gosh!
Which so they blew that out of the water. They did that also with freezing temperatures in the 30, and then the following day, the transfer portal right now is just a wide open door from Colorado. I mean, you might want to ask if one of the guys is Sauer. I don't think so, but his last name is Lemonius, so he could be slightly headed in that direction. But I mean, some of these guys were playmakers for the Buffaloes last year, and now you're 17 players since April 15th, and then I saw somewhere today, I believe on 3.com, 13 more players today.
But how many are coming in?
That's the caveat.
Right.
That's the difference maker.
Well, when he first got there, he said there's no solidified position, and you're going to earn it. And if you want a single digit, you got to be the dude.
What did you think about them having to earn their jersey numbers like you were just alluding to?
I think it's a character builder, because you're going to find out who wants to be there and who not. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, everybody with prime time, but he is a legitimate coach. He's a legitimate player, so he can talk about some things that he knows, and he can advise those kids. If you're going to the next level, this is what you need to do. Mm-hmm. And so,
see the numbers that I saw today. What that speaks to, because I've heard a lot of talking heads talking about. I'm surprised why they're doing it now, and they wouldn't have just jumped in it back in January or something like that. Here's what that says: Deion's already lined up 15 players. That's what that says.
But
and he has an honest conversation and says,
he does.
I don't think there's a spot here for you.
Right. But the thing is, once you're on tape, the eye in the sky is not going to lie.
Right.
So the effort and the skill set need to go together.
And that's it. But my point is, this isn't these guys just suddenly realizing I want to leave here. This is more likely we've already got your replacement coming in.
Well,
and the discussion.
People don't realize that your scholarship is an annual thing.
Correct.
So that if you misbehave or something else, then they yank that puppy.
Yep.
So
that is true.
Yep. So, but anyway, he's going to get results now.
I think so.
He
can't do much worse.
How would you feel about him? Let's say he has a 3-year stint over here at Colorado, and Norvell takes a job to go somewhere else. Or how would you feel about Deion being the head of Florida State?
If he's proven what he can do, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
The thing is, he's going to recruit, and he's going to bring some people in there that it's going to help coach. And, he walked around the whole facility. He went from what was in the stock, what they had kind of equipment. He went through the chow hall. He went through everything, the medical procedure and all that. I mean, he just,
Glenn, you may be able to help me with this, because I'm not a Florida State fan. I didn't grow up one, but in all the looking and talking and things like that, I've never really thought the Deion and Florida State relationship was all that warm, and from both sides.
I think he is. I think he is loyal to them.
I mean, everybody loved him as a player and all,
Right.
but I get the sense there might not be a whole lot of.
Well,
I don't know.
Some of the things he did in the pros.
I think even before that.
He was some things in the pros, prime time. He had his image, so I think people maybe at first didn't take him serious, especially when he went to be a high school coach.
Right.
And you go from high school, it's a little different than college, but, he's been at both, and then he got to coach his son. He's still getting to coach his son. I just think what he did at Jackson State, he pointed out the problem with the school. Mm-hmm. And so he knows what's going on. Now, he may act prime and all that, but he's very intelligent on what's supposed to be done, how it's supposed to be.
I guess I'm just not 100% sold that every Florida State booster's dying to have him and that he's dying to come back. I don't know.
Well, I don't know who he's upset or they're not happy. The thing is, he's always helped out Florida State. He's always said nothing but good things about Florida State, and especially Coach Bowden.
Yeah.
So, I think if he had the chance, he might come back. But you know what? Why not build your thing in Colorado?
Yes,
that's a Division I school. Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Well, we'll get right back to you guys with hour number 2. We're going to run to a break. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Hour number 2 is up next.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The tradition continues.
That ball is going to be out of here.
The Atlanta Braves play here.
Bombs away.
The Atlanta Braves are back and making a statement.
Head first slide, 2 RBI triple.
Listen to Atlanta Braves baseball and a rich audio experience live on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Here comes the thunder.
Sponsored by Best Way Portable Buildings, Dave and Buster's, PCB Hobby, and Gulf Coast Aquarium.
Weather forecast for this afternoon, a mix of sun and clouds in the mid to upper 70s, a northeast wind about 10 to 15. Scattered clouds, light winds overnight around 60, and those winds will continue to be on the light side Tuesday. There might be a few showers in the afternoon, partly sunny, near 80 degrees. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. For ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
By now, you've heard us talking about Tiger TV Pro. Hi, David Hayes from the Afternoon Underdogs, here to remind you about this incredible streaming service with over 6,000 premium channels. And the cost, you ask? $15 a month. Yes, only $15 a month. Every sports channel is available, including the ACC and SEC network, the NFL, NBA, MLB, HBO, Showtime, and thousands more. For more info, go to our website at espnpc.com. Scroll down and click the Tiger logo.
Is your toddler not saying as many words as they should? If they're talking but are difficult to understand, call Southern Speech Pediatrics. They'll help your child with stuttering, speech sound disorders, phonological disorders, receptive and expressive language delays, pragmatic and social skills for children with autism. Southern Speech Pediatrics, providing quality, individualized speech therapy services through home, school, and daycare visits. Call Southern Speech Pediatrics, 850-270-7238.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DM Mariana, WPLQ Port St. Joe, powered by Pepsi, ESPN Northwest Florida.
The battle for a 6th straight division crown starts right now, and the East already knows. Don't sleep on the Atlanta Braves.
Next pitch to Riley. Swung on, hammered to deep center. He's at the track, he's at the wall. Home run!
Tonight, it's a National League East showdown at Truist Park in Atlanta as Matt Olson and the Braves welcome in the Miami Marlins for a 4-game set.
Braves, Marlins tonight. Coverage starts at 6 on your home for the Braves on the Gulf Coast. ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents
Wrestling Against Cancer, number 8.
Saturday, April 29th at the Bay Haven Charter Academy in Panama City. Proceeds benefit Donna Duncan.
More information, espnpc.com.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. It's hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes, along with Coach Brian Haddad, Coach Glenn Manley, and James Fife in the building with us as well today. Coach, spring football getting started today. What's the season look like? I know that you won't be the AD during football season, or at least they think so.
That's what he thinks.
Y'all keep bringing it up, I can assure you. And nor will I be the county AD. So
there you go. It's just wishful thinking, Coach. That's all it is.
I know. Well, I never mind. So the thing
Plus
is,
the preview for Bay High this year.
Once you start winning, it's hard to get games. But I think we got a manageable schedule this year. The 19th, we're going over to Gonzales Tate and play in a little spring jamboree thing. So looking forward to that. I will ride the bus over there to watch that. So yeah. But anyway. I just think Coach Brown's got them going. We got some young kids that, we were graduating some great talent, but we got some good young kids coming up, and now they're going to be seniors. And then we got, we had a very big line last year.
Yeah, the trenches were huge for you
guys. Like refrigerators with arms, and so we got some younger kids coming up, not quite as big, but they're very skillful. And so, we're going to do well, I think. And Coach Brown and them, though, they're going to work them hard. They start today.
Yep.
So, 3 days in shorts, and then we're off and running. The other thing, too, is I can't say enough about our trainer, Justin Klotz, Klotz. He does a fantastic job, covers all the sports. We just make the rounds. So if it's softball, baseball, he's there between running back and forth, and then we have a track meet going on or something. He's just, so he does a really great job. So I want to thank him for all he does, too.
That is awesome. And that's one of the, jumping back and forth, and there's injuries happening all the time. We've got Ian on the line with us. Ian, go ahead, buddy. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. What you got on Deion Sanders? Ian, are you there? All right. Well,
there he is.
I think I hear you, Ian. Go ahead.
No, I didn't cut off. This is Harry. I got to get off your line.
Oh, this is Harry. This is Harry on the line with us. All right, we're going to figure it out. We'll let them figure that out there in the background. But, yeah, cannot wait for another great season of high school football here in the Panhandle, man. And very impressive season for Bay High last year, too. Like, just the trenches and how big those guys were. And then also you mentioned with Will Smiley tomorrow, again, that's going to be at 4 o'clock?
4 o'clock in the STEM building, which is a new building on 13th Street there. So, we can't wait. It's fantastic. He worked hard for this.
Yeah.
We have a Bay High alumni coaching the offensive line, John Williams. So, the good part was the guy that's now the head coach was the guy that was recruiting Will. And so he got the head coach job, so we already knew who Will was. And so.
Oh, that's perfect then.
So that was great. And then John Williams reached out and does a great job, so we want to thank him too.
So he's going to be continuing to play football there as well, right?
Correct.
Right, man. That's going to be so awesome. For the next 4 years, the last game of the year that we're watching regular season is going to have Will Smiley in there.
I don't know where they're going to play him. They could play him at D-back, could play him wide out, but definitely should have him at kick returner, because he's very dangerous with that. And I don't know if he's right now big enough for Division I to play the option. But he's very skillful, very fast, very intelligent, so they'll have plans for him.
What was the decision like going into the sport that he was going to play? Because, he's athletic as all get out, but he's really good at basketball and football.
I think football was probably his first kind of love. I think when you're thinking about going somewhere, and then the offers started coming in. And I'm sure I wasn't as tuned into what kind of basketball offers he has, because I just knew they were working on that Naval Academy thing. So, and his mom is assistant principal there, and she's actually was my boss besides the principal. She's assistant principal in charge of athletics. So we got together, and it really worked out well for me, because we had to have an administrator on duty. So she's at every basketball game, so
perfect.
You're Mrs. Basketball. And matter of fact, she has another son that plays there too. So she helped me out a lot, but I would cruise in sometime when she had to go somewhere. But I would always go watch the games anyway. But I just knew, she was on duty, so that was fun. And then Mr. Warren, who was a great science teacher there, passed away in December, I believe. But he was the only guy in 10 years that saw every basketball game at the Barnstorm tournament, because he kept the clock for every game.
Golly. He's seen a lot
of basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. Want to remind you guys that the Atlanta Braves will be coming up after the Afternoon Underdogs tonight. They're going to be hosting the Marlins for a 4-game set, and then following that, they're going to have the Mets. They'll be on the road at Citi Field for the Mets. Talking about the Atlanta Braves, what a tough series that they just got done having with the Houston Astros, the defending World Series champions. First, we've got to give a happy birthday to old Chipper Jones. I'm sure that he's listening right now, so happy birthday, Chipper Jones.
Happy birthday, Larry.
Hey,
Larry.
Astros
did sweep the Braves, though. Friday, the score was 6-4. Saturday, 6-3. And Sunday, it was 5-2. On Friday, man, the Braves get off to a roaring start. 4 runs in the first, and then the Astros answer with 3 runs later on in the 7th. And Yordan Alvarez, I'll say his name a couple more times in this segment. Yordan Alvarez with a 2-run shot to win Game 1. Then Saturday evening, the Braves got a great start from Kyle Wright, and then he came unraveled in the 6th inning. The Astros put up 4 in the 6th, and then Yordan Alvarez again with a 2-run shot, giving the Stros to lead the lead for them to win 6-3. And then on Sunday, the Braves got a run in the 5th and the 6th, and then in the top of the 8th, Yordan Alvarez with a 2-run single, and then Alex Bregman getting hot at the right time, adding 2 more in the 9th for the Astros to complete the sweep with a 5-2 win. They've only dropped 1 spot in the MLB.com power rankings, which is pretty impressive, having that kind of a 4-game losing stretch. They start a 4-game series again tonight. It's Edward Cabrera going for the Marlins. He's got a record of 1-1, an ERA of 4.08. He'll be going up against the strikeout king, Spencer Strider, who's 2-0 with a ERA of 2.45. All right, we've got Ian back on the line with us. Ian, you are now riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to weigh in on the Deion Sanders FSU thing. I think, just speaking as a fan and as an alumni, or as an alumnus, I don't know that there was ever bad blood between FSU and the fans and the school. Obviously, I can't speak for the school, but from a fan's perspective, it just seemed like, when you look back over the years, when FSU greats would leave the school, they came back. And they sold their experience. They were part of the recruiting process, whether it was Charlie Ward or Derek Brooks or Warwick Dunn or Peter Warwick or Peter Boulware or, whoever, Ron Simmons, even dating back in the day, Peter Tom Willis, those guys. People pitched up their school, talked up their school, talked about, how great it was to go to Florida State, be coached up by Coach Bowden and be a part of the dynasty and the legacy and all of that. Deion never did any of that. He left town. He went to the NFL, and nobody ever really saw him on campus again. It's not to say that he was never there, but when you look back at the greats who really came back and contributed to the program after they left, he was never on that list. And so I think there were a lot of fans who were just like, okay, man, I get it. You came here, you were happy to be here, you represented, you flew the colors, you did all those things, and now you're gone, and you're out. All right, good luck to you. And, when the time came around to replace Willie Taggart after that debacle, he had no resume to be a head coach at a big-time school. He wasn't even qualified to be Colorado's coach at that point. So, to anybody who wanted to kind of get sour grapes about that whole situation, show me the resume that he had to take that job. We had just rolled the dice on a guy that was a questionable hire from a resume standpoint. And, we all know how that played out, which is why, they ended up going with Norvell. But anyway, that's just my take on Deion. As a Florida State fan,
good.
I didn't have anything against him until he threw our hat on the ground with Travis Hunter and stomped on it at a press conference.
Right.
At that point, I was like, screw you eternally.
Right.
Prior to that, it was just like, okay, you're not coming back. You don't want anything to do with this.
Right.
Okay. Good luck to you, man.
Right. Very good insight. Very good.
Absolutely. But Ian, I want to go a step further. And 3 years down the road, Norvell's taking a job elsewhere, or he's fired, and Deion has decent success at Colorado. How would you feel if Florida State made a run to hire Deion Sanders in 3 years?
That's all predicated on what he does at Colorado, and I'm not convinced he's going to succeed. All right, if we learned anything over the last 2 years, it is that yes, you can be a great recruiter, but at some point you got to be a good game manager, man. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that Dion is that. And I'm looking at the guys that he's put on that staff in Boulder, and these aren't blockbuster names, guys. I mean, they're not guys who are really setting the world on fire. You know, when you look at the Brewsters of the world and people like that, I don't know how that's going to go over. And if Dion bombs, he's going to bomb big time, because we know one thing for sure about Deion Sanders. It is all about Deion Sanders. Everything is all about Deion Sanders. And if he comes out and flounders, man, and is looking at 5-7 2 years in a row, people, we've heard it at Florida State now for years. It's all about buy-in. Kids will check out on you, and then he really will have a mass exodus to the transfer portal. So I don't know that he's going to succeed. I don't know that he's not. He's a great salesman, probably the best there ever was in college football. But proof's in the pudding, man, and in the winning ledger. And we'll see if he gets those. I'm not rooting against him. I'm not sold. I wouldn't have hired him. That's just me.
Well, I mean, I don't think Colorado's got any problem with hiring anyone after they get one win last year. So.
Yeah, you're Colorado. That was definitely the university that needed to roll the dice. But come on, man. He wasn't qualified for a Florida State job.
Oh, absolutely.
Or an SEC job at that point, or any kind of big-time university. He will get his shot at Colorado, and if he's decent, he'll move on from there in 3 or 4 years. Whether that's the Florida State or not, I don't know. We'll see. It is my honest hope that they keep Norvell around. I really like Mike. I'm sold on Mike now. He showed me what he needed to show me last year. I'm bought in on the climb and all those fancy social media buzz terms, and I want to see where that goes. So it's my honest hope in 3 years we're talking about another contract extension for Mike Norvell, because he's continued to have success in Tallahassee.
I love it. Ian, thanks so much for the call.
Yep, see you guys.
Yes, sir.
See you. How about you, Coach? How are you feeling about the tenure to this point for Mike Norvell?
I think he's done a great job. He's done things. You know, when you say Memphis, they said that, you know, it was not a big time school, but, you know, they still play, and they still playing, you know, now it's the AC, but, you know, I think he does a good job. And if you just look, you know, when he first got there, you know, it was things going on. You had people jumping off left and right because they wanted to go with the other coaches. And now some of them are leaving. I think what they see now is I've had to earn my spot. And so he's brought people in. You take the 2 defensive linemen he's brought in. I mean, they know their stuff. And, of course, I hope Odell Higgins doesn't leave. But, you know, but he's getting ready to retire soon. I hope not. But, anyway, but you know what? They've got a plan. And the kids bought in, you know, and if you look at, we had a kid, C.J. Campbell.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm working on getting him onto the show with us one day.
Yeah. And so what he did was, you know, he worked his way on there. And then
somebody's alarm clock wrong.
Coach Helton here pointing some fingers at us.
we almost got accosted right here in the studio. But anyway, he's brought some people in to help make it go. But we're talking about C.J. Campbell. You know, he came from Louisiana because of the hurricane and stuff, and so he proved what he could do at Bay High. So he was doing really good and hurt his knee. They said he recovered faster than anybody they've seen. And when he scored that touchdown, I don't know if it was Syracuse or not, you know, you saw how the whole team ran to him. So they really like him, and he's in that room. He's like number 3 in that room. So great things from him. He's a very intelligent young man. What a nice guy. I remember I wasn't even at Bay High as far as any athletic thing other than the game. And, of course, Coach Bland played for us. And he was out there one night after the ball game picking up trash right around the door and stuff that goes in where people had dropped it off in the parking lot. And I said, hey, man, what are you doing? He said, Coach said we need to have this place clean, and we're going to keep it clean. So that's kind of the kid you're dealing with. You know what I'm saying?
And it kind of – that's 2 things that stand out to me. One, the coach. Right? Now, the coach is – instilling duty, integrity, and honor into his.
But he's willing to accept it.
Right, and that's why I was on both sides of that, because you can tell a player to do that all day long till you're blue in the face. They might pick up a piece of trash. They see you walk around, and then they're doing whatever they want to do at that point. And Coach, then the other players Bland, that actually do that.
Coach Bland played, and he knows what the traditions are at Bay High and stuff like that. And, you know, I go back to Coach Scroggins that I coached with for 12 years. And, you know, character is what you do when nobody's looking. And so when you do that sort of thing, and, you know, that's what we always used to tell them. You're not a football player. you're a Bay High football player, and more than that. So little kids, when you go out to warm up, when you go out to little kids are watching you all the time. If people are watching, and I used to tell them, when adults are there, they're looking sometime, not all of them, but some of them looking to, look what that teenager's doing, or look what that, they want to look at negative stuff instead of.
They want to put chinks in the armor.
Right. Yeah. And the thing is too, if you just need to go out to practice one day and see what they put in and what they have to do. They have to get their homework. They have to go to school. I mean, it's just amazing to me. But when you get back to those guys, those are fantastic guys. And Florida State's going back to the old way. They're getting a lot of characters. Guys, but they're not getting characters.
It's a big difference, and it's we all live here in this area, and regardless of which team you're a fan of or not, when Florida State and when Florida and even when Miami are doing better, the buzz is just a little bit bigger about college football around this town.
The thing too is, when you say Arnold or Mosley or Rutherford, or Bozeman, they're all playing. When I play them, I want to beat them, but after that, I want them to be successful.
Right.
So wherever they go, I try to follow a lot of those kids, and things like that. So, one of our kids, who graduated back in '95 with Jared and them, Anwar Stewart, he's a defensive line coach at Kentucky.
Yeah.
And so he's coming down, I think Memorial Day or somewhere in there. We'll see what goes on with that. So he's taking up golf now. So I'll have to get him out
to go teach him how to play a little bit.
So anyway,
we've only got a couple more minutes here. Then we're gonna we'll have Val in the building with us. We'll get into the PCB hobby update. But I wanted to ask you, we talked earlier about the grass isn't always greener on the other side. We were talking about Florida State and, some of the players after that Taggart mishire, if you will, kind of jumping ship and going to older coaches. And, Jimbo Fisher there with Texas A&M. How do you think it's going to work out with Jimbo Fisher and Bobby Petrino if Bobby Petrino's calling the plays?
Well, as long as Bobby gets motorcycle lessons,
it'll be just fine.
Well, here's the thing: is Fisher going to turn over the offense?
Right.
He's a quarterback guy, and so does Bobby. But is he going to? If you got to, I don't know if he's willing to be in that set like Coach Bowden, where I'm in charge, but I'm going to let you do your thing as long as we do things like, when you talk about the punt Ruski. They were talking about how silent they got on the radio, and he said, I don't remember asking anybody. I think I said run the Rooski.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Is he going to turn it over if it doesn't go good the first or second game?
Yeah, and then snatch it back.
You could have kept Sumlin for how many wins he has.
Come on.
And saved $75 million.
I think I think you would have had a better year last year with Sumlin.
Right.
And overall, it's been wild how his whole tenure has played out over there. Jimbo Fisher with Texas A&M.
And then once he had a quarterback situation, that kind of hurt them too. When I forgot the guy's name already. He graduated
from last year.
From Texas A&M.
Oh well, you had the guy who was there for ever. Now I'm blanking on his name.
But then he left.
Kellermond.
Yeah, and then now they're flipping back and forth. And then,
so Connor Wegman, right, which is a guy that you've been big on now for 2 years.
Yeah, Wegman's going to be their starter, but Max Johnson's probably the one I'm thinking of who came in from LSU. And he's an experienced hand, but the kid who beat Alabama a couple of years ago has left A&M, went to Auburn, and has now left Auburn.
Yeah.
So that just tells you, we talk about this transfer portal all the time, but just think about that. He beat Alabama less than 2 years ago.
Right.
He's already left 2 schools since then.
Right.
Crazy.
Searching for a better place.
He is 1-0 against Alabama, though.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. That's like me. I'm 1-0 in girls soccer. So
there you go.
You can't beat that. You can't beat that percentage.
Yeah, absolutely.
But here's the thing about the transfer portal. It's hurt high school kids.
If you couple the transfer portal with the additional COVID year, which I understand the intention of that, because it wasn't fair to anybody what happened, but it happened. Right. But the ripple effects, it has hurt 8 years worth of high school kids.
Right.
Because of that extra year, because the opportunities are that much more limited. And the transfer portal, to make that even worse, to pour gasoline on the fire, now you can go out and get a 3-year experienced hand versus a high school kid.
Correct.
The opportunities for high school kids have significantly dried up over the last couple of years based on those two factors.
If you transfer as a redshirt sophomore, with experience,
And it's not just football either, though. It's every single sport, which is, I mean, baseball, it's already hard enough for all programs in baseball, but how many scholarships are they getting to divvy up between 24 guys or so?
The other thing you need to consider,
15 or 16.
somewhere,
a very low number, though.
Right.
I've somewhat made my career in education. Glenn's has been direct. But the thing that never seems to get considered in this deal is, I actually do understand and like the freedom that you have to make a different decision to suit you. By the same token, the way it's being abused and played now, the continuity of education matters.
Right.
And when these kids are bouncing to 3-4 schools and something like that in 5 years, you can't get a continuity of education together like that. It's really difficult. You got to pick up, you're living in a new place, you got to learn new people, you got a whole new class system. And a lot of people say, well, they don't go to school for school. Well, they should.
They have to stay eligible. Here's the other thing.
And we're not putting them in a good situation where I feel like they have the best opportunity to develop it. These are developing human beings. They're not done developing yet.
But if you're doing the NIL thing, don't give them the money until they graduate.
That would be wonderful.
Right. And the thing, too, is when you transfer, or you're going from quarters to semesters.
Right.
And
a lot of that stuff is never considered.
Right.
And it's just detrimental to their development, which bothers me.
It absolutely is. We've got to run to a break. When we get back, we're going to have Val Mueller. PCB Hobby is what we're going to be talking. Y'all stick with us. We'll be right back.
I got a hobby.
Northwest Florida can change on a dime.
Gale force winds bombarded with heavy rain.
That's why 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida has the most up-to-date forecast on the Gulf Coast. Hi, this is staff meteorologist Tim Root with over 40 years of experience. I know just how fast we can go from sun and fun to a serious situation. For the most accurate and detailed weather when it matters, rely on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Weather forecast for this afternoon, a mix of sun and clouds in the mid to upper 70s, a northeast wind about 10 to 15. Scattered clouds, light winds overnight around 60, and those winds will continue to be on the light side Tuesday. There might be a few showers in the afternoon, partly sunny, near 80 degrees. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. For ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
At Tracy's Fine Jewelry, we want to help you celebrate Mom this month. From mother's rings with her children's birthstones to unique one-of-a-kind pieces just like her. This month is meant to celebrate Mom. From our large selection of beautiful stackable bands to simple, elegant diamond necklaces that will bring a sparkle to her eye. This Mother's Day, show Mom how much you love her with a beautiful piece of jewelry that's as unique as she is. From Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
By now, you've heard us talking about Tiger TV Pro. Hi, David Hayes from the Afternoon Underdogs, here to remind you about this incredible streaming service with over 6,000 premium channels. And the cost, you ask? $15 a month. Yes, only $15 a month. Every sports channel is available, including the ACC and SEC network, the NFL, NBA, MLB, HBO, Showtime, and thousands more. For more info, go to our website at espnpc.com. Scroll down and click the Tiger logo.
From the Florida Panama line to the Gulf of Mexico, from the Upper Grand Lagoon to McKenzie Park, we are live and local.
Whether you like it or not, you have a gift.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, live from the Rib Crib Radio Room, ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. And this is ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes, along with Brian Haddad, Val Mueller, and James Fife is on the ones and twos. Val Mueller is with PCB Hobby. He runs the comic side of things over there. I mean, it's really legitimately a hobby store. It's changed from PCB coins and cards to PCB Hobby for a reason. Now, do we want to start by grilling Val, or do we want to get the rundown?
Well, the funny thing is, we just said, you know, free beer and food, and that's that's why he showed up. He didn't realize he was going on the air.
Beer, no food. What's going on here? Hey, everybody. My name is Val.
Hey, there you go.
My name is Val. I'm with PCB Hobby as well. And yeah, so I'm representing my brother Todd Mueller. He's usually here. The other co-owner, Bill, he could not make it. So here I am. I know that comics is brand new to PCB Hobby, and y'all been crazy wanting to know about that stuff.
No, absolutely. And we could start with one here. How long have you been collecting?
So personally, I've been collecting for quite a long time. I may look younger, and I am younger than Todd. No, not really. I'm actually the oldest. I've been collecting since the early 80s. I'm almost 50. And I actually was going through some of my comics because, it all starts with personal collections. And I actually pulled out the first comic book that I collected. I don't know if y'all have a Safeway store. It's like an Albertsons or a Sam's Club or something of that nature.
Eckerd.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I bought it there. I remember the day very specifically when I bought it, thinking to myself, I should collect comics. So I think that's what happens to a lot of people with hobbies. And here we are.
I love that. When you got into it, I'm curious of this because the parallels to sports cards or anything collectible are fairly similar. But when you first got into it, was it purely just to read it, just to have fun? Or were you ever thinking, I kind of want to have a bunch of these, or maybe not even the financial impact of it, but I want to have all of Superman. I want to have all of whatever.
For me personally, I cannot read. I'm kidding. I can read. I like the pictures. No. Honestly, it was the pictures, it was the art and the content itself. And two, I like to collect. I like to hoard. I'm not a hoarder, but I like to collect sports cards, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, any of the trading card games. I personally collect as well. So for comics, it was probably the artwork mainly.
I'm curious as to, you've got such a wide view of the hobby of collecting comic books and things. What's interesting to me is and you and I are about the same age, so stop calling yourself old. It hurts my feelings, but
that's my job.
Yeah, exactly. As I look at this, distinctly when I was young, there wasn't a whole lot of bleed over. Comic books was kind of comic books. Sports guys were kind of sports guys. But now with the advent of all these movies and how mainstream it's become, comics is available really to everybody in a way it didn't seem like it was. Have you kind of seen that shift?
I think the biggest shift has been both Marvel Studios and DC. I think them, the purchase, they were, as you all know, or probably know, the DC universe is purchased by Warner Brothers quite some pretty recent, actually. I think it was most recent of 2016, and then the MCU or the Marvel universe has most recently since 2009 been with Disney, and so we know how big Disney is. That has just pushed, especially Marvel in the movies, right? I personally don't watch every movie. I'm not a big movie fan, but for some reason the DC and the Marvel comics are different movies and such, and even those on Netflix. Moon Knight comes to Netflix, comes to mind. That really has sucked me in and pulled me in, and I think a lot of collectors too, and I think that's also why they are collecting now. They see all this media come out, and so they're like, yep, let's collect. Let's look into this again. And the artwork, because of the different writers or the different designers and the writers themselves have changed over the years. It's just turned, it's a hobby that is to collect for many reasons. Not to get too long-winded, but you used to be able to walk into a comic book shop, and that was a comic book shop. You walk into a sports card shop, and it was a sports card shop. Nowadays it's crossover. Walking into a shop like ours, although ours is probably one of the most stellar looking, and I've been to quite a few myself over the years. I'm telling you, it's normal to have TCGs, to have comics, to have even coins nowadays. So we're very fortunate that we can offer that cross-platform or crossover hobby collecting.
Well, I agree. And I mean, obviously I'm in there a lot too. And you do see the people who will come in and they may trade out some sports cards they have for coins or comics or vice. We've had that plenty.
Panama City Beach, and just Panama City in general. Honestly, people from Destin even, Brian. I've seen a ton of people come over from there, from the West. We get all kinds in. We get locals, like I said, as far as Destin, even Pensacola. And then up north, I've seen people come in from Chicago and things of that nature. So we're getting just a lot of people. And honestly, the biggest thing that excites me is community. The community of it all.
So you mentioned earlier about buying kind of the first time at Safeway. I remember you could find comic books almost anywhere when I was little.
Mainly grocery stores.
Right. They'd be on the spinning
rack.
Yeah, and David, we'll have to explain that to you at some point.
I'm joining you in your nostalgia right now.
But what was interesting to me was it seemed like back in the day, the collectible shops were just for the higher end things. And a lot of times I still think people, particularly of our age, who would be the parents, when they go to the comic book shop, they think, oh, that's not for you, little Timmy. That's where the big money is. But PCB Hobby is bringing in like the weekly readers, the people who come in. Talk about that.
Sure. Every well, first and foremost, if you do not know, comic books are released every week, once per week, the latest issue. DC happens to primarily release on Tuesdays, and then on Wednesdays for your Marvel Universe and also your Independents. And so, what does that mean? Yeah, we're getting comic books in every single week, from comic books you may not read, from the Venom, the scary looking stuff, to down to the Scooby-Doo, the Sonic the Hedgehog.
Scooby-Doo still making comics?
Absolutely.
That is awesome.
G.I. Joe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Let's go.
Very popular.
Let's go.
Right. Pokemon, all that stuff. It's all available. So
that is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, have you found yet, and I know you haven't been here very long yet, but have you found yet the people who walk in not knowing comics are there, and they're in there for Pokemon or they're in there for sports, and they kind of glance over at the comics and you get the opportunity to talk to them about it. Talk about maybe that and the, I don't know, I know this is going to sound a little, wistful, I guess, but the notion that you might actually be bringing someone purely into comic books for the first time ever.
Sure. We get, I've noticed, we get a couple types of customers, and I usually try to ask, are you local? I always like to ask. Why? If you're local, I want to bring that fellowship, and I want to bring the community I talked about together, and I want to talk to you. If you're local, I want to talk to you. What are you doing? What are you collecting? Why do you collect it? What interests you? So we can chat, kind of like the sports cards, Brian.
Right.
We get guys come in all the time that they're from I don't know, up north, and they come down, they're like, oh my gosh, you guys have all these cards I cannot get at my local hobby shop.
Right.
We have it because we get so much stuff that just comes through our door. The second kind would be, again, like the people that come on vacation, and what's funny, they bring in their collections. Not just comics, but their sports cards.
Correct.
Their coins, and they want to trade. Brian, you made a note of, can I have comics, maybe I can sell them and get into, I don't know, sports cards. We do all that. I don't know of another place around town, let alone the state of Florida, let alone in the whole South down here, that you can do what we offer.
Right.
And that is, you have a hobby that you're into, but you have a bunch of other stuff, bring that other stuff in. We'll take a look at it.
I've noticed with sports cards, there are people who will, they'll buy boxes of things like that they want to make sets out of, and constantly look through and check the photography and read the stats and all like that you do with cards. And then there are some cards that they buy that they're going to protect and put in top loaders and keep as a, for lack of a better term, investment. Do you see that a lot with comics, that people will buy maybe like 2 issues of something, one to read and one to put away? I mean, how does that work?
Yes. Just like the sports cards, just like the TCGs, there's grading involved. So with grading, you have, a 1 to a 10, mainly. And I think we use PCGS primarily for the sports cards. For comics, we use CGC, Certified Guarantee Company. Same grading scale. Some say harder, some say less for sports cards. But for comics, that's what we use. And yeah, we get all kinds of that.
Yeah. So what is like I guess the DC #1, Superman is always known as a big one, but there are others like, I guess to someone who's never followed comic books, but they understand a Mickey Mantle sold for $12 million, whatever like that. What is a high-end comic book, and what can they trade for?
So a high-end comic book, I mean, we can go to the roof. We can go #1 Batman or a #1 Action Comics. You can look at heritage auctions. You probably heard that name from sports cards, right? Same thing for comics.
Yeah.
1.7 million, I think, was one of the latest for one of those top tier comics. 600, 500,000, $500,000. Yeah, you're talking some real money for high grade. Why? Just like sports cards.
Yeah.
In the higher grade, they're just, gosh darn it, harder to find. Everybody read them, folded them, put them in their back pocket.
Yeah.
Put them in for sports cars. It would be the
bikes,
bike spokes. Yeah. So, we did that too. Vroom vroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, no doubt. What about when it comes to like the difference in or comparatively speaking, prices when it comes to new and old, kind of retro versus current day players?
There's a lot of different comic book age. Well, there's primarily four comic book ages. You have Golden Age, which takes you from the 30s to 56. You have Silver Age, which takes you again from 56 to about 69. Bronze, and then we get to more up to 85, and then we start getting to the present time. And there's some copper in there too, which is mid 90s. Comic books range, I think I laugh because Spawn number whatever they're up to started out at a buck and then $1.25, and just recently they changed it from $2.99 to $3.99 just recently.
$1.
That's cheap.
Yeah.
DC, on the other hand, their products, their material, their stock material, the cardboard, the paper, the look, the gloss, whatever is a little more refined, so they ask for a little more money.
We've got Michigan Eddie. He wants to ask Val a question here. Michigan Eddie, go ahead.
Go Blue Truck Series. We're going to back to hello, Captain Todd. Hello, sir.
Hey, how's it going? This is Val. I wish I was Captain Todd. I can never fill those shoes, though. Come on.
Sounds just like him, though, doesn't he, Eddie?
Bill? Hey, you sound just like Todd. Well, Bill, hey, you're the one I really want to talk to, not Captain Todd.
Very nice. What can we help you with?
Business, it's awesome. First time I've been there in a while because of travel baseball, blah, blah. You're the perfect one because you are very knowledgeable on the sport. Talk about, and we got a lot of Canucks that come down here. Talk about the hockey cards you're getting in and what brands to look for now. Back then when I was growing up, it was Upper Deck, Pro Set, OPG Premier, etc.
Sure.
You could talk into that for us snowbirds and for the Canucks that come down here. And love you guys. Is Brian there too? I'm on my way home from work.
Yes,
Brian
sir.
there?
Brian's
I'm here.
Yes, sir. So check it out.
Hello, Brian, and hello, Super Dave. Oh, a quick side note. Oh, I was listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida because you're home of the Braves. And get this, real quick nugget. So Hunter Brown's the new ace of Houston, right?
Uh-huh.
So he went to my high school.
Oh, wow.
My cousin coached him in high school, and he went to the same college as my sister, Wayne State in downtown. Which, by the way, Wayne State's known for mortuary science degrees, just saying. But anyway, I just want to throw that to because he was on the bump Friday night versus the Braves, where the Houston came back and won 6-4. Rubs up Hunter Brown first couple innings. Anyway, go ahead, Bill. I'm here for you. I'm listening, baby. Rock and roll.
Well, check this out. What we have going on is not only are we a Tops authorized dealer, but we're also an Upper Deck authorized dealer. Yep. And some of the, some new product real quick. I'm going to pass it off to Brian in a second on some products and specifically get to your question. But the Bowman, 2023 Bowman, that's the beast product. That's the product that is going to be put out, and I believe we're getting it on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So with that said, we also have some Magic the Gathering expansions coming out, and also some Pokemon Japanese boosters coming out.
Yep.
But to get to your question, I'm going to head over to Brian on that one.
Well, yeah, and I will approach this as best I can as a lapsed hockey fan, but Val's exactly right that we have become an Upper Deck dealer in the shop. And if you noticed, Eddie, there's a lot of hockey product in the shop now. And one of the reasons was exactly what you said from our northern transplants or our visitors having a lot of interest in that. And we wanted to make sure. Plus, look, we got a lot of fans of the Lightning, too.
Amen,
and
brother.
So we wanted to make sure that we had that in. Do we get the walk-in traffic on hockey that we do on other sports? No, but that's to be understood.
But funny, we just had two people come in today. Yep, we had two ladies come in today.
Yeah.
And very exciting because we had brand new product to offer them.
Yes, and that is exactly right. All of it's brand new. So that part of it is really exciting that we're able to offer the hockey out there to you. I thought maybe Val would have come in a little more being Pacific Northwest boy with the hockey, but I guess they were still really developing it.
Yeah, up north. I'm from Oregon, in case nobody doesn't know. So we have the Winter Hawks, I believe, and it was kind of a come and go type of setup where, I remember I was probably in my mid-20s going to a game, and I don't know if they do that down here, but since we're talking about hockey, right, they used to throw a bunch of silver dollars literally silver
Where was
dollars.
Todd at?
I know, right? I think he was in the Navy at the time. But here's what they would do. They would put buckets, 5-gallon buckets, like 10 of them, and they throw them all out on the ice, and your ticket had a number on it. And they would randomly select people to come down to the ice and basically like a 30-second run.
Yeah.
And you had to catch as many, and you could keep as many as you could collect into your hold it into your arms. They gave you nothing to hold these with. So
Take that
hockey,
jersey.
hockey's amazing. I wish we had. I wish I could go see more hockey.
Yeah.
And I do have one last question, Val. I'm curious about this. I was thinking about it. When you're in sports cards or something, people come onto the scene with a lot of press. So the guys coming out of college, coming as rookies, they're already got built-in press. So everybody's looking to hit the new thing right away. With comics, I would think it's got to be difficult to start up a franchise because you have to kind of develop a fan base and go forward. Thus, you don't necessarily know which franchise to go into. I guess my question, and the reason it spawned all this is because you said Spawn. In my lifetime, that's the only one I can remember that like hit day one with a buzz. How often does that happen, and how does that happen? Or do they have to slow burn to grow?
Honestly, I think nowadays, it's perpetual is the word I'll use.
Okay.
Because of the fact that over time, I think that the media, like I initially started when we started the segment, the MCU and the DCU, they're the ones driving this.
Sure.
So back in 91, 92, 93, I remember 93, when Spawn #1 came out, initially, right after that, there was a movie, I believe, that came out.
Yes.
Pretty quick right after that, a couple years after that. And that is actually when you started to see it. Now, sure, we had Star Wars, right? Star Wars came out, and there was a movie adaptation to comics for that. By the way, the number one Star Wars I used to own. I wish I still owned it. Funny, I bought that in the military. I bought that. So one thing I wanted to say was I'm a veteran as well.
Yeah.
Been in the military.
Service.
Thank you. And I was overseas. I was in Saudi Arabia. And let me tell you something about hobbies, such as comics. They were a way to decompress, sports cards, same thing, way to decompress. That's all we had back then. We didn't have the computers and the internet.
Yeah.
So I would just like to say that, that is what this hobby is about. This hobby, in my opinion, and what PCB hobby brings to the table is, let's get back to the old days. Let's get back to fellowship, getting in the shop. Let's talk about what we want to talk about, and let's hang out.
Creating a community. And just to make sure Bill is represented on this show, 3 texts. Hockey products in the shop right now. SPX, OPG, and Young Guns. Folks,
Young
they
Guns.
are ready for you.
Very nice.
Awesome stuff, man. And then also, what is it, every Friday, or is there one Friday a month, the Magic the Gathering?
A couple things we have going on. We're going to have our first Magic the Gathering event.
Okay.
And that is going to be just come to play. It's not going to be like a manufactured release product or a WPN-driven product by any means. Just come and play. It is by invite only for now. And that's the last Friday of the month, which is the 26th, I believe. Help me if I'm wrong.
That is going to be the 28th.
28th, my bad.
You're
so
good.
on the 28th, around 6 to 6:30, you can come down to the shop and play Magic the Gathering. Another thing that I'd like to mention is the first Saturday of the month in May, every single year we do what's called Free Comic Book Day. So the first of the month, which is going to be May 6th, down at the shop, come in, and we'll have a bunch of free comic books to give away. Free Comic Book Day.
There you go.
If you've never collected comics, you've never read comics, hey, what's keeping you from doing it? Get down there.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. And again, this is right here on Back Beach. It's next to Florida Linen and the Lindell Plaza.
There you go.
The Lindell Plaza. So y'all go check out PCB Hobby. Had Val Mueller in the building with us today, Brian Haddad. I'm David Hayes along with James Fife. We've got to go to a break. Val, thanks so much for stopping by, man.
Anytime.
Absolutely. It was good to talk some comic books with Val. We're going to wrap it up with a little local and some more baseball chatter when we get back.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents
Wrestling Against Cancer, number 8.
Come see premier professional wrestling with the American Machine, Chief Little Bear, Mr. 850, and exciting women's wrestling with Raven Knight and T-Gang. This Saturday, Wrestling Against Cancer number 8.
Number 8.
At the Bay Haven Charter Academy in Panama City. Doors open at 5:30, bell time 6:30. Proceeds benefit Donna Duncan.
More information, ESPNPC.com.
Join karaoke for a festive book signing on April 26th at the PCB Library, 12500 Hutchison Boulevard, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Then on April 28th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Bay County Library, 898 West 11th Street in Panama City. It will be a fun read with plenty of pictures to go along with stories of a born and raised Okie and the secrets of working in Hollywood. So come on, join the fun. If you can't make the event, books are available on Amazon.
In Panama City, we say shop local. And now you can at the Local Cafe. The Local Cafe is a new restaurant run by locals. Open 7 days a week, starting with breakfast at 7. Try the 2-2-2 for breakfast. 2 eggs, 2 pancakes, and 2 sausage patties. The best home cooking, like country fried steak, grilled pork chops, meatloaf, Salisbury steak, and many other delicious dishes. Plus the best homemade cakes and pies. The Local Cafe, 23rd Street near Home Depot.
By now, you've heard us talking about Tiger TV Pro. Hi, David Hayes from the Afternoon Underdogs, here to remind you about this incredible streaming service with over 6,000 premium channels. And the cost, you ask? $15 a month. Yes, only $15 a month. Every sports channel is available, including the ACC and SEC network, the NFL, NBA, MLB, HBO, Showtime, and thousands more. For more info, go to our website at espnpc.com. Scroll down and click the Tiger logo.
The battle for a 6th straight division crown starts right now, and the East already knows. Don't sleep on the Atlanta Braves.
Next pitch to Riley. Swung on, hammered to deep center. He's at the track, he's at the wall. Home run!
Tonight, it's a National League East showdown at Truist Park in Atlanta as Matt Olson and the Braves welcome in the Miami Marlins for a 4-game set.
Braves, Marlins tonight. Coverage starts at 6 on your home for the Braves on the Gulf Coast. ESPN, Northwest Florida.
It's go time all the time. Sports talk around the clock.
Oh my gosh!
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. It's the Afternoon Underdogs here on ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in Panama City, 102.1 in Marietta, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. ESPN Northwest Florida with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Brian Haddad and with James Fife. You had one more thing that you wanted to dive into, right?
Just real quickly, just a reminder to everybody, the Flip Show, the collectibles, it was perfect because we talked about all different kind of collectibles. It'll be primarily sports cards, but this Friday and Saturday down at the Travel Lodge. Make sure you come out for that. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming right out of the NFL draft, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, man,
down there.
so stoked
Flip
about
Show
that.
this weekend.
The Flip Show this weekend. Also, we're going to have our mock draft tomorrow afternoon we'll probably starting that the second hour of the show from about 5 to 5:40. We're hoping that we can get a whole round in with 4 fellas, especially if we're including trades and all of that good stuff. Real quick here, local update brought to you by Barbaritos, food community people. Visit Barbaritos on 23rd Street. Tell them that the Underdogs sent you. The Northwest Florida softball team is your 2023 Panhandle Conference champions. The Raiders finished the regular season with a record of 49-8, and they've held a spot in the top 5 of the national rankings since the first week of the regular season, after not being ranked in the top 25 in the preseason poll. So very impressive season from the Raiders there. And our very own Gulf Coast softball team snapped their 3-game losing streak with a 3-2 win over Tallahassee on Sophomore Day, which is the equivalent of Senior Day. The Commodores approved to 29-20. They're going to be hosting Chipola tomorrow for the first round of the Panhandle Tournament. Now let's get back over to the phone line. Wright State Chris wants to talk about 2 60 goal scorers who just so happened to scrap for the first time in NHL history in the playoffs. 2 60 goal scorers in Austin Matthews and Steven Stamkos throw down on the ice because of a hit to Braden Point. Wright State Chris, what's going to happen in the game tonight?
Well, does it count as a scrap if Austin Matthews doesn't drop his gloves? Does that? Yeah,
I guess it's still it's a scrap. It's not a heavyweight bout or anything like that. It's about the same as Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia.
Yeah. Well, if one thing's for certain, Toronto knows how to score on the Tampa Bay. Yeah. I've really come to respect how well Toronto plays offense, and they play just good enough defense that last game was close. If they control that puck with no goalie in the net right before Toronto gets in the zone, that's a 4-2 game as opposed to a 3-3.
Yeah,
so
100%.
It was very close, and yes, that Braden point should have been a goal, but I understand why the referee's blowing the whistle there. So it's just it's difficult. But last game, to split at home ice, and it'll be a split on both home ice. I think I'm not going to give a prediction because last time I gave a prediction,
that's a good idea.
Scored 7 goals. So.
That's a good idea. I think I'm going to shy away from predictions tonight as well because I was kind of, riding your coattails a little bit last week, but I think I'm going to agree with you and just not give away a prediction and just watch the game. And I'm not even going to be able to watch until the third period because of softball tonight. So dadgummit. Watch. Make sure you keep me updated, Wright State, Chris.
Have you been able to watch any of that Vegas-Edmonton series at all? That's been crazy.
The Vegas Winnipeg or Kings Edmonton?
Sorry, Kings Edmonton. Sorry, that's what I meant to say.
I've watched
Oilers Kings.
I did not watch. I'll be honest with you. My grandparents were in town this weekend. I really did not watch a whole lot of anything this weekend outside of the Lightning game and the Braves game Saturday evening. So pretty much Saturday evening, whenever I finally got home, that's when I was able to watch some. And I didn't stay up because I think Edmonton and LA, they play on the opposite night, right? They played last night, didn't they? With another overtime thriller.
Yeah.
What are you seeing from that show, from that series, outside of maybe the lack of scoring that we're seeing from the regular season king and Connor McDavid?
It's 3 overtime games, and they've all been full of drama. And you got Will Ferrell at the arena with his face painted in checkerboard and black and white checkerboard. It's just absolutely awesome. You get 3 overtime games in the first season of playoffs. Those fans have got to be just. Every time they watch the game, they've got to be just completely anxious and just got to take all the Xanax they can before they can watch a game.
You're not wrong.
I would be. It's just like watching playoff hockey. It just wears on you. Like for everyone out there, pick a home team to watch unless you just can't absolutely stand them. But we got a lot of great first round playoffs. Just root for the home team. Just see those fans go nuts. It's been absolutely a joy.
Yeah, it really has, man. And to kind of start off some of the first rounds, it seemed, or the second night of the first round, there was a lot of road teams getting the wins there. But yeah, it's definitely been interesting. And the hockey playoffs, it's so hard. That's what I almost wish that. Kind of like we talked for the March Madness tournament and how maybe the men's and the women's didn't overlap because for fans like myself who's watching the men's, but I want to watch the women's as well. With them overlapping, I don't get a great chance at that. And it's kind of the same way with the NHL and the NBA playoffs because I'm going to gravitate towards the NHL playoffs every single time. And not even my opinion. That's just what I do because there's so much more action going on in the world of hockey compared to the world of the NBA playoffs. And the one thing I would like to see, but this isn't a complaint necessarily at the NHL as much as it is all of the referees. I would just like to see more consistency because you mentioned the Braden Point goal. Well, in the Florida Panthers and Boston Bruins game, there was a very similar type call with, I believe, Marchand putting the puck into the net and that goal was allowed to stay, but in the Tampa Bay Lightning game, it was not allowed to stay. James, what you got? Or the goal was disallowed.
So with the NHL, how it works with a referee schedule is the first 2 rounds are done by one set of referees, and the last 2 rounds are done by the all-star set.
Okay, so we got to wait till we get to the last 2 rounds to have consistent.
That's when you'll get the quote-unquote best referees.
And do you think
that's when the Toronto fans will stop complaining about the refs? But they'll probably not be there.
That will never happen.
That will never happen. James, what have your thoughts been on the Tampa Bay Lightning in this first series?
Lightning, I really thought the Toronto Maple Leafs were just going to leaf it up and, have their 4 games and then go home. But their first line is clicking, and it's got to be the line that clicks because it is eating up something like 30 to 35% of their cap hit.
Yeah.
So if you can slow them down, and especially when they are on the power play, because they have a very, very potent power play, keep them to the outside. Run a really loose box, keep them to the outside. Somebody gets in the middle, you got to get them out of the way, but it's not my concern because I just want to have them have the puck away from the net.
Yeah, Eric Chernak's still going to be out. Hedman is back. He was back for Game 3. Isama is day-to-day, and they're also saying the same thing about Braden Point. Have you heard anything since the show's been on the latest on Braden Point, Wright State, Chris?
I saw that he's playing. I never saw what the injury was. When he came back in Game 3, he definitely didn't look himself. And, Braden has an injury history, and it's kind of concerning because if we beat Toronto without Braden Point, which we've shown we can do, it's just going to wear us out for the rest of the we just weren't the same team last year against Colorado that we were against the Panthers or against the Rangers.
Yeah.
And that had a lot to do with Colorado. But we need that consistent scoring because it's just our guys are like against Toronto with a good offense, we're more of a counter-punching team than a control the zone. We did it for a little bit in the second, but we've been a lot more counter-punching than we have controlled the offense. That's my opinion, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Wright State Chris, thanks so much, man. Enjoy the game tonight, and I'm sure you're going to be giving us a call at some point in time tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, South Carolina, my buddy's listening to Coach Terry. He's Florida, so go South Carolina baseball. All right, I'll talk to y'all later.
All right, man. Didn't understand a whole lot of that, but I love it. Thanks so much.
I think one of our Gators fans made sure to garble that. It was about South Carolina sweeping the Gators.
Oh, there you go. South Carolina sweeping the Gators. Also, I wanted to lead with this, and then we got the information or the news on Aaron Rodgers finally being traded.
Yes.
But Drew Benton, we had him on, 2 Mondays ago? You were on with us. He wins the Bassmaster Elite Series on Lake Murray, taking home the Blue Trophy is what they call it. And it was pretty wild because he was down 5 pounds going into the final day. He was the leader on day 2, caught a total of 87 pounds on the final day, 26 pounds, 7 ounces, which was the biggest bag of the entire tournament. And now Drew Benton is a two-time Bassmaster
I've
Elite
gained that
Series
many
captain.
pounds in a day.
And
just quickly, Ime Udoka looks like just hired by the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, big stuff there. Giannis also back tonight, but we are out. Coach James Taylor Show is going to be live at 7 in the morning. Afternoon Underdogs back with you tomorrow at 4. Atlanta Braves coming up next. Play ball.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Colin Cowherd. But Steph Curry, when he is rolling at the Chase Center, it is different than any star in my life other than Michael Jordan in Chicago. When Michael Jordan and